Hello students, once again welcome back to my channel Economics at Your Home by Priyanka Rai and myself Priyanka Rai. This time I am back again with class 12 economics. Okay, as you know that we have discussed in our previous videos the chapter aggregate demand and its related concept. What is the chapter all about? And we have seen the meaning of aggregate demand, right? So, I have seen the meaning of aggregate demands, its schedules, its diagram. Now what? Now the next topic is aggregate supply. So, in this video I am going to discuss, as we have discussed aggregate demand. So, what is aggregate demand? Let's recall. Aggregate demand refers to the total value of output or total volume goods and services, total value of goods and services which producers are willing to buy at a given level of income during a given period of time. So, what is actually aggregate demand? Aggregate demand refers to the total value of all final goods and services, okay, produced, and it's willing by producers to buy at a given level of income during a period of one accounting year. So, that was aggregate demand, which is equal to aggregate expenditure. Students, you have already seen that aggregate demand is equal to aggregate expenditure. We have discussed the components, okay, and I told you all the meaning of demand, aggregate demand, market demand, how it is different. Now this time I am back with the topic aggregate supply. Okay, so what is aggregate supply? Let us see what is aggregate supply. Aggregate supply, it refers to the money value of final goods and services that all the producers are willing to supply. Now you are seeing the term supply. Aggregate supply, in demand you have seen it is being demanded, okay, it is being demanded. Now here you will see supply. So, aggregate supply refers to the money value of final goods and services that all the producers are willing to supply in an economy in a given time period or in an accounting year. So, here you can see I have written aggregate supply is equal to national income. Now, I know this is quite confusing, how aggregate supply is equal to national income. So, I will explain you. Aggregate supply being a physical term. Now, let us see. You all know that total value of output which is produced is being distributed among factors of production. Yes, all the value of goods and services which are produced, its total output is basically distributed among factors of production. Now these factors of production are given factor income, okay. So the factors of production like land, labor, capital, enterprises. So this value of output is distributed in the form of factor income. It is distributed in the form of factor income. Now what is factor income? Factor income is the income which is received by the factors of production. On land, rent; to labor, wages, okay, capital, interest; enterprise, profit. So sum up of all this at domestic and national level is known as national income. Understood, students? Once again let me clear you. Aggregate supply is what? Aggregate supply refers to money value of final goods and services that all the producers are willing to supply, okay, that all the producers in the market are willing to supply in an economy in a given time period. That means whatever goods and services are produced, now the producers are willing to supply those goods and services in a given time period. Now if I go to physical term, okay, let us understand aggregate supply as a physical term. So what is aggregate supply? Aggregate supply is the supply of goods and services, okay, all value of final goods and services, okay. Now this is supplied, okay, to factors of production in the form of their factor incomes. So this is basically supplied or distributed among the factors of production in the form of their factor incomes. So they are going to earn factor incomes on different factors of production. As I told you, land, rent, labor, wages, okay, capital, interest, and enterprise, profit. So now ultimately sum up of all this, you have studied national income chapter also, that land plus rent plus interest, rent plus interest plus profit, okay, all this factor incomes if you add, so it will give at domestic or national level will result into national income. This you have already studied, students, okay, that if you add rent plus labor plus capital, interest plus profit, okay. So what will happen ultimately if you add all these four factor incomes at national level or domestic level of income, you will get national income which is equal to national income. So and we are talking about those factors income only which is distributed in an economy. So aggregate supply is equal to national income, hence we can say AS is equal to Y. So we can say AS is equal to Y. Now symbolically AS is equal to C plus S. How? When AS is equal to Y and Y is equal to C plus S, income is equal to consumption plus saving. You have seen components of aggregate demand, now we are seeing components of aggregate supply, that is consumption plus saving. So consumption plus saving will result into AS, or you can say Y. AS is equal to Y as aggregate supply is equal to national income or income. So it will result into C plus S. Why C plus S? Consumption. Suppose you are having 100 rupees and you have consumed 40 rupees. So what is your saving? 60. So that 40 plus 60, for example, suppose you have consumed 40 rupees, okay, and you have saved 60 rupees. So this 40 plus 60 will result into 100, and this 100 is what? Aggregate supply as well as national income. So hopefully students, now aggregate supply is clear to you all. Once again, what is aggregate supply? Don't just see, again I am saying, don't try to mug up the definition, students, try to understand this. What is actually supply? Supply of what? Supply of goods and services. Aggregate term is here. Aggregate means whatever value of goods and services are being produced, now it will be supplied by all the producers in a given time period. So they are willing to supply all value of goods and services in a given time period. So ultimately when it is supplied, okay, when it is supplied, it is supplied in the form of it is distributed to the factors of production in the form of their factor incomes. And what are the factor incomes? Labor plus rent. Okay, labor को क्या मिलता है? Wages. Labor will get wages. Land पे rent मिला तो wages plus rent. Okay, capital पे interest मिला plus interest, and then enterprise को profit मिला plus profit. So what are the four factors income? What are they? First, wages. Second, rent. Interest plus profit. When you do addition of all this factor incomes at domestic level or national level, so what you will see, you will ultimately find the income. So that is why we say that aggregate supply is equal to national income, and AS or Y is same. So you know income is equal to consumption plus saving, hence we can say AS is equal to Y is equal to C plus S. Now you have understood aggregate supply. Now you are going to see the schedule of aggregate supply and diagram. So let us move to schedule and diagram, students. Till then you just write it, and I will be back with the schedule and diagram. Okay students, so let us see the schedule. Now this is the schedule of aggregate supply. What is it? It is a schedule. Schedule of aggregate supply. Now you understood the meaning of aggregate supply, income. Now let us see. So here you can see income as we have studied while teaching you aggregate demand. You have gone through that video. If you have gone through that video, you will find the schedule somewhat safe, but it is same, but we have extended saving, and now we are seeing AS. There we have seen AD. Now here we are seeing AS because you are studying aggregate supply. So income as it is 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Okay. Consumption being 40, 120, 200, 280, 360, 440. How? I will clear. Income we have taken difference of 100, 100, and consumption we have taken difference of 80. We have assumed. Now we know that when income rises, consumption do not rise as per the rise level of income. We save something. There is a human tendency, human save. So let us see now saving. Now you know when income was 0, still person was consuming, known as autonomous consumption. Known as, here you will see bar C, autonomous consumption, because when income is 0, still we consume, that is called autonomous consumption. So here saving will be minus 40. How? Very easy. Income minus consumption. Okay. If I ask you, your mother gave you 100 rupees and you consumed 40 rupees, how much you saved? So 100 minus 40, 60 you say. But here income is 0. So 0 minus 40, minus 40. Again same we will do here, 100. Okay, income minus consumption, minus 20. 200 minus 200, 0. 300 minus 280, 20. 400 minus 360, 40. 500 minus 440, 440, 60. Okay. Now AS we know C plus S, consumption plus saving. Now let us see. So here 40 plus minus 40 will result 0. 120 plus minus 20, what it will result? 100. Okay. 200 plus 0, 200. 280 plus 20, 300. 360 plus 40, 400. 440 plus 60, 500. Now students, after seeing the schedule, what do you find? Do you find something? Yes. You find that Y is equal to AS, as I have told you while teaching you the definition, that AS is equal to Y and AS is equal to Y is equal to C plus S. I wrote this formula for you all. You have seen. So AS is equal to Y and is equal to C plus S. How C? 0, 0, 100, 100, 200, 200, 300, 300, 400, 400, 500, 500. Hence proved in the schedule also I proved you that AS is equal to Y, which is equal to C plus S. Now you are going to see the diagram. It was a schedule tabular representation of aggregate supply. Now same thing you are going to see in the form of representation, a graphical representation. So let us see. Okay. This being x-axis, this being y-axis. Now here income is shown, and on y-axis we show consumption and saving or aggregate supply. Okay, so here you will see basically aggregate supply or income. Okay, aggregate supply. Okay, because in this schedule I am showing aggregate supply. Now you know students, see it is freehand drawing. You need not to plot. When we are studying aggregate demand and aggregate supply, there is no specific plotting like 100, 0, 100. Let me take here 0. Okay. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Like this we are not plotting here. So you know when was 100, aggregate supply was 100. So plotting will be on 100 only. Okay. When it was 0, say it was 0. When it was 100, income was 100. You know that on x-axis we are representing what? Income, and aggregate supply are same. So the schedule will, if you see the diagram, it will go somewhat like this, upward sloping. Okay students, so this is just a representation, a graphical representation of this schedule. As I told you all that it is a freehand drawing. You will not plot like 100, 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. This income is represented on x-axis and I have not plotted here. So you will also not plot. It's just a freehand drawing, you will draw it freely. Now as I told you all that when income is 0, aggregate supply is also 0. When income is 100, aggregate supply is also 100. So you will see a diagram somewhat like this, which represents aggregate supply. Okay, it is upward sloping, it will go like this. What does it represent? It represents aggregate supply and it is 45 degree. Okay, always remember it is 45 degree students. So why? Because when income was 0, aggregate supply was also 0. When income was 100, aggregate supply was also 100. So like this 100, when it was 200, it was also 200. When this was 300, it was also 300. So like this, a kind of upward sloping diagram you will see. Okay, this will be upward sloping, this curve will be upward sloping, which represents 45 degree. Okay, so why? Because AS is equal to Y. So this is simplest diagram which you can see in your entire macroeconomic schedule. Very easy students, just you have to draw 45 degree, you have to draw y-axis, you have to draw x-axis. X-axis represents income, on y-axis you are basically representing aggregate supply, this being 45 degree. But one thing must be noted student, that practically doesn't apply, because you know that in our economy what happens, that consumption is not same, everyone is not consuming equally and everyone's income is not on equal basis. So okay, that is why we are seeing here this 45 degree, because we have assumed this schedule and on the basis of this schedule we have drawn this diagram. So that is what called aggregate supply. So hopefully aggregate supply is now clear to you all students. that what is aggregate supply, what is the meaning of aggregate supply, how you are going to draw its schedule, and how you are going to show it on diagram. It's graphical representation. Okay students, so okay, then we will meet in the next video with a new topic, that is consumption function. There I will tell you about the consumption function as well as types of consumption function. Yes, consumption function is also known as propensity to consume. What is propensity to consume, consumption? But don't forget to miss the two videos which I have uploaded regarding this lesson. Okay, then only you are going to understand the third video of mine, that will be based on propensity to consume, APC and MPC, students. Okay students, so keep watching as many times as you can till you don't understand. Thank you students.